What's something you wish you knew when you were 19? Story 1. Save your money. Try harder in school. Do not waste any more time on people that don't have your best interest. It doesn't always get better and not everything is always worth it, so choose wisely. Story 2. I wish I knew at 19 that failure isn't end of the world and it's just part of the process. I spent too much time stressing about getting everything right, whether it was school, work, or relationship. If I'd known back then that messing up is how you grow, I would have been a lot kinder to myself. Story 3. You've been alone since you were 12. Don't jump on a group of people just because you're desperate for a support system. You've been taking better care of yourself the last 10 years than most people are capable of doing in their 30s and beyond. You're going to be fine on your own. Apply to whatever schools you want to apply to, and everything else will work itself out. Also, work wherever you want. No one's going to care where you worked in college. Study, because when you learn to learn, it's actually kind of fun. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Stop being scared of debates. Don't stop respecting and accepting people. No one will value it but you, but it will keep your heart peaceful. Story 4. It's okay if your band doesn't make it. You're still going to make a living being creative. Stop surrounding yourself with those who just don't share the same passion you do. There are so many others who are passionate about creativity and are not pretentious. Story 5. If I could talk to my 19-year-old self, I think this is what I would say. Trust your instincts. You do not need to change yourself to impress anybody. Have a little more faith in yourself. The way you are is the way you will wish to be years down the line. You do not owe anything to anybody but yourself. You do not need the validation, the approval, and not for a second should you allow them or anything they say or do to govern how you are feeling. Let go of anything that is not working out for you or does not feel right. It may seem like the end of the world, but I promise you it is not. You are much better off without the disrespect. Do not stoop to a level where you start disrespecting yourself because that becomes your new and only known reality. You're kind, you are smart, you are talented, and you do not give yourself enough credit. Leave, kid. Leave all of it. Be alone for a while instead of running towards people who are bad for you. You're going to be okay. You do not need them. I promise you. You will find your tribe in due time. Do not lose faith. Do not give up. Tomorrow is going to be better. Keep practicing your guitar SS. Work on those designs you like so much. Finish your assignments because I know you enjoy all that academic validation. Hang out with friends who truly care. I know it's hard right now. I know the lockdown destroyed most good things in life, but look up, please. Do not settle. If there is anything that even remotely hurts or any situation where you feel the slightest hint of uneasiness, get up and walk away. Please do not lose yourself. Please do not lose yourself. Story 6. Life is too short to care about what people think. People make mistakes all the time and no one is perfect. If you F up, don't be too hard on yourself. Learn from it and move on. Growth only happens if you admit to it, even if it's just a little. It's okay to gain work experience first before deciding on what you want to pursue. Not everyone with good academics end up with good careers. Don't compare yourself with others based on their social media. People lie all the time on social media to make their life look good. It's okay to seek help from professionals, and it's okay to keep personal secrets from family and friends regarding your mental health. No one is going to be accepting of your issues. It's okay to separate with your friends because no friendship is going to stay the same forever. Everyone will want different things in life. Story 7. Hey buddy, it's me, you. Listen, you're 19, and if today is your birthday, it was probably pretty bummer-inducing. You failed out of university, you're working at Gerald Stevens, and you're enrolled in community college. You saw your folks freak out, and you're probably going to start seeing a therapist soon. It's okay, he's a nice guy, and you're going to learn you're pretty smart. But here's the thing, you're autistic. When you went away to university after your intense high school experience, you were released from a very structured, strict, disciplined education. You played StarCraft and FF7 until dawn, slept all day, and gamed all night. Everything you're doing is called burnout. You were so compressed, so beaten into something resembling a conduit, and optimized for maximum learning, maximum performance. The moment you broke the daily schedule, everything collapsed. And I mean everything. That's autistic burnout. You worked so hard for so long and now you're admitting it's untenable. Everything became dysregulated in ways you'd never experienced before, and you fell into the trance and no amount of strength would work to restore you. Those cans of pastry that you crack and it explodes into a fluffy mess, that's you. You are a fluffy mess. Keep going to the gym. It'll give you structure that will help guide you back to where society requires we all be. Semi-scheduled. Talking to the therapist will be good, but don't bother bringing up autism. You're masking like it's your livelihood, because it is. And you're looking for solutions to the things rather than awareness that the things are you. not problems, just a different way of doing things, like calling people brother for no particular reason. Story 8. After high school, the way you interact with the world will completely change. Things stop happening to you, which means the only way things happen is if you make them happen. I spent so much time assuming things would happen because I wanted them to. Partner, career, friends, etc. But wanting them is not enough. You have to pursue them. Story 9. That the anxiety really will not last forever. At least not as badly. That's not advice I could give to everyone. But one day it just kinda stopped being as brutal, became more livable. I lost my little brother in 2015. He was 18, I was 19, and it sent me into a spiral. It kind of ignited this deep-rooted anxiety in me. I didn't leave the house. I never saw my friends. My relationship fell apart. Maybe it was some realization of mortality that I hadn't had to deal with until then. I realized by 23 that I couldn't change what happened and that I had to keep going, so I got sober, pushed myself through. I'm 5 years sober now, and life is good. 19-year-old me. Don't keep believing this will ruin your life. It won't go away, but it will get easier. Story 10. Get copies of your medical and school records. Take fewer classes. Get a part-time job and save. Keep up the languages. You are actually okay with those. Get a social life outside of your family and significant other. Maybe join a club. The school sees your records. Be really careful in the next several years. Stop complaining online. Don't consider therapy private. Maybe don't dump your support system. Your old bestie went through a lot. Hugs and chocolate. Story 11. I wish I'd known how important it is to get your paperwork organized. Keep all your important documents handy: birth certificates, tax returns, IDs, insurance, and more. It makes life so much easier than scrambling to find them when you need them. Story 12. Your boyfriend/girlfriend's criticism and their opinions about what you should be and how you should act are worthless. They're as young and clueless as you are, and projecting their self-doubts onto you. Letting them chip away at your confidence will only hold you back. Story 13. If you just save 10% from when you get your first job, you will retire okay, if not wealthy. Compound interest is magic. Even if you make $3 an hour at 16, save the 30C, 10% per paycheck. I grew up and first job was mid-80s. Believe it or not, you will be a millionaire by 50 and a multi by 60, 70 in a big way. I worked with people who I talk to every quarter who still have never made more than $65,000 on the counter at Grainger. People ask for a light bulb, and you hand it to them. That the job in a way. They are at 30 years of employment and have $10 million, and they are only 50 and still working. Might have $30 million in 15 years. Start early to save. Your old ass will thank you. Story 14. It was the darkest time in my life when I was 19. I lost the closest family member a few months ago. I failed my college administration exam. It is a big deal in China. And went to a college that I never know about. I broke my back while playing sports and had to lie in bed for months. I was betrayed by friends and relationship. I was looked down by senior classmates too. I was aimless and lost interest in everything. The list can go on and on. But I want to tell my younger me that, like how my old brother cheered me up, the basketball have to be hit hard to bounce up high. I literally cry while reading this. You will get through this. You will find lifelong friends and loved one. You will regain the passion to whatever you love and get accepted by one of the top grad school in US because you are tough and never give up. What doesn't you make you stronger? Be tough to the life, never stop fighting. Story 15. That I could have saved my teeth by just flossing, my back by just not sitting slumped for hours on end, and my ears by just not standing in front of the speakers at concerts without earplugs. Actually, I did know all those things, just hadn't internalized them. If every kid could spend a day in their older body, we'd all do a lot better, I think. Story 16. I wish I knew how important it is to focus on personal growth and not just chase external achievements. At 19, I was so caught up in what others expected of me, but realizing that taking care of my mental health and building meaningful relationships matters more in the long run would have made a huge difference. Story 17. It's okay to take a gap year to explore Europe. In fact, no better time for me. It's okay to fail. Sticking to something and hell, even getting C is better than thinking the world has ended. Get the numbers sooner, idiot. You're missing out on some play with that. Nobody cares they have their own problems. All your peers have no clue either. They faking that just like you. Yes, even the ones that look like they can party all night and still make it. They struggling in some way too, so it's okay. Invest in Apple or some. Netflix too. Don't get too caught up chasing one girl ever. Your body's in the best shape ever, and you will succeed way more than fail if you simply go out and focus on having fun instead of in your head. Leave your ex alone. She will your cousin and is bot worth it, plus she gets pregnant early AF, and yeah, let that go. Take chances often. Story 18. That what I was feeling was called gender dysphoria, and that I really am trans. That my failures are my fault and my responsibility, not other people's, especially people who have nothing to do with my life. Regrets are the worst thing to have in life, so build a life where you regret as little as possible. Get away from the computer and get out of the house much more often, because all those hours in front of games won't mean much a decade later, especially when you're ignoring someone you love more deeply than anything in the world. Finally, don't let her go because you'll regret it and you won't have another chance. Story 19. Don't pluck your eyebrows down to nearly nothing. Thankfully, they grew back, but yeesh, the pictures. You're about to have some great times, but don't worry about anyone's opinion regarding your relationships or lack thereof. 30 is not an expiration date. Don't date that loser just to not be single. 10 years later, it ends tragically. Story 20, that I have ADHD. Also that things are going to suck for a few more years, and one day you will break out of your shell, but in a way that will hurt even more, hit a rock bottom, but then you will meet someone who will make you forget you were lonely, and then you will have two of the most perfect things ever with them. Story 21. You are way more beautiful and way more intelligent than you were ever told, and more than you ever realized. Don't sell yourself short on the relationships you get into or what you can do with your life. And that guy across the street, run! Story 22. That learning how to properly inhale cigarettes, taught to me by my then-husband, HS sweetheart, who had picked up the habit in military, would not in fact bring us closer and save my marriage, but instead would create a lifelong addiction to smoking, then vaping, that would forever be on my mind even after years of quitting. I still cheat whenever I'm highly stressed out and every year at my sister's Christmas party. I really wish the cravings around those times wasn't so strong. Story 23. Wish I bought Bitcoin. In all reality, I wish I prioritized my career more instead of the session. Having to work hard to climb up the ladder later in life is a pain and should be done younger. If you work hard in your 20s, you can set yourself up to have a good quality of life for the rest of life and a decent work-life balance. Story 24. You can't fill the void and lack of self-respect with a whole other person. Wanting love and affection is human, universally so. But needing it so desperately is a sign of something unhealthy. For years, I pursued relationships so I could feel the thrill of life with another person. For 10 years, I bounced between dates and had 2 long-term relationships. I regret nothing. I'm approaching 30, and I've learned a lot, as well as had some wonderful experiences. But damn, younger me could have used some lessons in self-respect and self-love, something I'm only now really starting to exhibit. Story 25. I wish I knew that life doesn't give a damn about your plans. At 19, I was busy trying to fit into a mold, thinking I had to follow a certain path. If I had realized that the world is chaotic and unpredictable, I would have stopped stressing over every little decision and just embraced the chaos. Screw the rules. Sometimes you just have to burn it all down and rebuild on your own terms. Story 26. That there are a lot of people who couldn't care less about your well-being and will not hesitate to take advantage of you if you don't stand up for yourself. Being the bigger person and shrugging things off is the right decision sometimes, but I used to let people walk all over me because I was too afraid of conflict. There's a balance, and my life would have been much better if I'd learned to advocate for myself at a younger age. Story 27. Enjoy the present. Don't look too far forward. Don't stress about what already happened. Enjoy being young and being able to make mistakes and learn from them. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Spend time with your friends and family. Story 28. Stop doubting yourself. Think things through, but stop the overthinking and analysis paralysis. Learn through trial and error, and be more forgiving of your faults and failures. Trust your intuition. Don't compromise yourself for the approval of others. Story 29. It doesn't follow that you can breeze through college on natural book smarts just because you received all A's in high school. To succeed, you'll need to understand how to study and retain information. Perhaps spend more time with your mother as well. She required it. Story 30. Your career does not have to be something you are passionate about. In fact, it might be better if it isn't. Find something you are good at, which will let you make at least enough money for you to be self-sufficient. When you're young, try a bunch of different things so you'll get a better idea of what you're good at and what you aren't. Don't forget to have some fun along the way. When you get older, you will likely have so many responsibilities that while you may have the money to do fun things, you won't have the time. Story 31. I'm sick in the head. I need a doctor/medicine, etc. Wish I could gotten help at that point. My life would not suck so hard now and would have not wasted all my younger years on this stupid stuff. Now I'm old and it starts to be kind of late to fulfill my dreams. Story 32. The world ain't gonna get better than it is right now when I was 19. In fact, it's gonna get much worse. Go get yourself diagnosed with depression and ADHD so you can get on meds and not flunk out of college. Get out there and mingle more instead of being isolated in your dorm all day. And go visit both of your grandmothers more often because you're going to wish you had by the time 2023 rolls around. Story 33. It's possible to check the right boxes and still end up holding the broken pieces of what could have been. Follow your dreams and not what seems easier. Yes, you should ditch the last 2 hours of your shift to help the cute coworker with her tire problem. That job isn't going anywhere you want to go. Go to therapy. You aren't okay and you're going to spiral in a few years. You feel fine now when you have no responsibility for anything, but you aren't. If you feel more lonely with a person in your life, they aren't for you. And start working out now. It's harder when you're 30. Story 34. All these save your money comments. How many 19-year-old people have saving money? How many of you had saving money at 19? Ha ha ha. I had an old but reliable car, bought all my furniture and most of my clothes at thrift stores. I had basically no hobbies. I bargain shopped for groceries, had roommates in a modest apartment, never went out drinking or partying, and didn't take any trips. I was still paycheck to paycheck. Story 35. I wish I knew if there was ever a time to throw caution to the wind and pursue some of your more far-fetched goals. It was then. No responsibilities, and you can work towards fulfilling others' expectations of you at a later date. Even if it means living in your car for a bit, who cares? Pursue the thing you want no matter what it is. Story 36. Stop trying to please others. Find a handful of people you really care for and don't bother about the rest. Learn how to sell your work. You're a talented photographer, believe me, but you lack the confidence to sell your photos and SS to present your work. Don't try to learn anything by yourself. Ask people who are more qualified than you. Don't be afraid to show your incompetence. You'll find your love sooner or later. Story 37. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind, you will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they've faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future, or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubble gum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind. The kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember, compliments you receive, forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't. Get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. Maybe you'll marry. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40. Maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much or berate yourself. Either your choices are half chance, so are everybody else's. Enjoy your body. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own, dance. Even if you have nowhere to do it but your own living room. Read the directions even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but a precious few who should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle. For as the older you get, the more you need the people you knew when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, you too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund, maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse, but you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past, from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen. Story 38. I wish I knew I was going to lose my mom so early. She died of lung cancer when I was 24. Also, I wish I had had a better sense of my attractiveness and felt more comfortable about my body. I got molested as a teen and then raped in my first year of college. I was 17. For the longest time, I blamed myself, and it took many years for me to process a lot of it. If I could go back to 19, I would absolutely focus on celebrating my life, my energy, my family, everything. I just wasn't happy back then, but I didn't know how good I had it until I lost it. Story 39. Open yourself up to multiple avenues. And just because you committed yourself to a field doesn't mean at the end it's your true calling. It's never too late to truly find your purpose in the world and your career path. Those that tell you otherwise should be ignored. Story 40. Young people, such as myself back then, sometimes develop a certain attitude where you hear all these cliché warnings about this or that thing being bad. But when you start to experience these things, everything seems fine. Maybe even after a handful of years of experience, and you think to yourself, that's it? This doesn't seem that bad. I can totally handle this. So you continue to indulge in some self-destructive or immoral behavior, and essentially you become convinced that your limited first-hand experience tells you the full story, because being young is hard for you to really wrap your head around how limited your experience actually is. To you, those years you spent doing X thing as a teenager feel like they have bestowed a lifetime of wisdom on you. But of course, as you later learn, it did not tell you the full story. And reality hits you like a semi-truck fueled by pure hubris. Story 41. I wish I knew that, contrary to the words of my mother, it was not the natural order of things for each generation to be wealthier than the last. Had I not assumed that, I likely would have been more discerning with my career choices and not studied my passion, assuming everything would just work out fine. Story 42. That I didn't have to participate in all the drama going on around me. I could have found new roommates who wouldn't treat me like. I could have just told people no when they tried to foist their problems on me and make me fix them. I didn't need to save ungrateful people. My college experience would have looked very different if I had had any kind of boundaries or self-respect. Being raised a people-pleaser really did a number on me. You know how you always hear people say that one of the best parts of getting older is that they stopped caring what people thought? This is the lesson they are talking about. Story 43. You don't need to be totally pissed to have fun at parties. That pool in Cuba is way more shallow than you think. You'll break your nose if you jump in head first. That bitch with which you hook up after your first longer relationship is really crazy. Stay away at all cost. Just go directly after the cute colleague you married later. These are the things that come to my mind first. There are a dozen others. Story 44. That my mental health and bank account were going to plummet, and I drop out of the only course related to my interests in my country. Fortunately, I seeked help, and the feelings are long gone now. Right now, I'm stuck in a conscript army for the next 20 months, and everyone in my unit are pretty friendly people. Plenty of time to plan out the future after Army. Story 45. Don't go to college to satisfy your parents. It's totally fine to wait a little bit and ponder what it might be, and that you actually want to pursue in life, rather than rushing that entire process. Also, the whole taking a break after high school thing is fine. It doesn't make you lazier and incapable of finishing college. Once you find something that you genuinely want to learn, then you might find that you actually appreciate education more than you thought. Story 46. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself at the doctors. If you don't agree with them, tell them and tell them why. Don't let a doctor minimize your symptoms or tell you it's probably nothing. If you think something is wrong, do research beforehand and tell the doctor what you think it is and why. I spent years going to the doctors for back pain, and they didn't have any answers as to the cause. I figured out myself I have EDS, went to the doctor with my self-diagnosis, and they agreed with me, confirming the diagnosis. Story 47. You can't change anyone. You can't change the world unless you're a corrupt politician or CEO. You will never change anyone's mind. So just let people yap away at whatever they believe, whether you agree with them or not. Just enjoy every moment you're in. Try to enjoy every human experience. You know yourself better than everyone in the world. So don't conform to what people tell you to conform to, because they're almost always wrong about you, and you're almost always right about you. Don't spend money trying to satisfy lovers and friends and family. Don't try to fix anyone. Just listen to them and try not to judge them. Celebrate your loved ones for who they are and never expect them to be anything different than what you know them to be. Don't like things just because other people like those things. Don't hate other things just because other people hate those things. Quite a few of your friends are not friends. They're frenemies. So identity one from the other, then block those frenemies. This is possibly the most important thing you'll ever do in your entire life. When people flake on you a few times, block them because they don't like or love or respect you even if they say they do. Don't gossip. If someone lies in front of you, then they lie about you. If someone complains about other people, then they complain about you. Don't buy new versions of your older things if the older things still work, especially cars and electronics. The less you do, the less energy you have to do. The more you do, the more energy you have to do. Go to therapy sooner. Don't put off the dentist. Stop eating meat when you're ready. Get solar panels and an electric car. Buy a bed you love, not a bed you think lovers will love. You're right. There's nothing better than an orgasm. So have as many as you can with yourself and with consenting, enthusiastic adults. There's little worse than debt, so do your best not to have any. Buy a house and pay off the mortgage as fast as you can because the long-term mortgage is good if you don't have all the money yet. But if you have the money to pay it off, do it. And maybe even buy more houses and rent a few out. Don't expect politics to ever be what you want it to because politics is a long, eternal game with no winners other than the ruling class. Your colleagues are all rivals, so don't tell them things they can use against you secretly. Learn Ujjayi breathing and use it daily. Strength training improves your metabolism and improves your mood, so do it daily but not so intensely that it causes overuse injuries. Never do squats no matter what anyone says. You'll blow out your knees, it's the worst, and everyone who says otherwise is wrong. Or buy a foam roller and follow YouTube directions on how to use it. Never gamble. Bet only on yourself. Don't get sunburned. Sleep as long as you can. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Avoid addicts, but especially avoid ex-addicts because you are severely not compatible with them, and they will make your life a daily living hell with their sober deceit. Clean the dishes by hand when you're done eating, or soak them in a pan in the sink for an hour first. You can't have just one pet because it will be sad and lonely, so if you have a pet, then make sure you have at least 2 or more at a time. Brush your teeth 5 minutes every morning with a soft bristle brush. Don't use conditioner, it's bad for you. Laugh as much as you can. Don't frown. Don't raise your forehead because it'll cause wrinkles. Don't rub your eyes or you'll end up with big permanent bags under your eyes, and you'll super hate that. Don't put anything in your ear bigger than your elbow. Don't be an asshole, but sometimes you'll need to be a son of a... Story 48. No matter what, we all die in the end. Unless your actions will save or end a life, nothing is that important or urgent. Employers will act like it is, but it's not. Time is the only currency you can spend and never get back. Don't waste it on someone else's ideal life. No one truly knows what they are doing. This is their first round in life, too. Lastly, you're going to find out how stupid your parents are, and by extension, how stupid you are. It's okay to say, I don't know, or I was wrong in many situations without shame. It's how we grow. Story 49. In a couple of years, you are going to meet a girl you think is the one. Ignore her. She will give you the runaround for almost a decade, wasting your time. Save your money, focus on school, and when you are 29, move to Stockholm. That's when everything starts. Story 50. Time feels like it's frozen at that age, but it goes before you know it. Appreciate that your close family are most likely healthy and alive. Keep moving forward into the future. Don't just time because it's infinite. It isn't. Save money. Also, if you meet a girl called Sarah on a night out, absolutely do everything you need to with her that first night, but stay far away after that. Story 51. I wish I had understood the power of financial management, saving early, investing smartly, and avoiding unnecessary debt. Gaining Tech SS could have opened doors to endless opportunities, while spending time with experienced mentors might have offered invaluable insights about life and career paths that school never taught. Story 52. I don't know that I'd tell my 19-year-old self anything at all. I had some very hard moments. I lived through some very dark times where all I needed was a hug or a kind word. Maybe I'd just go back and hug myself. But I don't think I'd change my path. I'm happier now. The struggle and the pain was worth it. And unfortunately, it was necessary for me to experience it all in order to get me where I currently am. Story 53. Manage your money better. Always know how much money you've got and how long it needs to last. Don't just walk up to a bank machine and cross your fingers. After graduation, don't apply for your dream job. You get rejected. Instead, immediately start working on a project management qualification. That way you can start your career years sooner than you otherwise end up doing. A story 54. That if you grow up in trauma and chaos, your nervous system seeks trauma and chaos. That's why the romantic partners you choose tend to be toxic and mirror the relationship you had with your most wounded parent. Go for the partners who calm your nervous system, feel even boring, They will heal you. Story 55. The safest path is okay. Your chances to be wildly successful are very low. Even if you're talented, follow solid, good, regular advice and you will surely end up in a pretty good position. Most book authors today, it would be social media influencers, will tell crap just to grab your attention and tell you what you want to hear. Beware. Story 56. I will start this by saying I am no way an expert in any financial matters. Only recently had some money from a work share saved that I sold some shares and invested in other things. I wish someone had just told me to start putting whatever I could afford regularly in something like a global tracker. It doesn't seem like a lot to put in like pound 20.50 a month, but over all that time it would have really added up. Story 57. When I was 19, I wish I knew that most of the pressure I felt to have everything figured out was self-imposed. I spent so much time stressing over the right path, but looking back, the detours and mistakes ended up teaching me the most. Also, saying no to things that didn't align with me wasn't selfish, it was necessary. Story 58. It may not seem like it right now, but 20 years from now is going to come, and it's going to come a lot faster than you think. Yes, partying and chasing girls is incredibly fun, but please focus on building your social life without relying on alcohol. Grow an income, invest that income, keep playing sports, and find something you love to do that can connect you with like-minded people. That way you won't be 38 years old living at home, jobless, $40K in debt from trying to chase money-making opportunities, 30 pounds overweight, alone, and depressed. Yeah, I'd love to go back to when I was 19 with even just one or two things that I know now. Damn it. Story 59. None of the things that seem to matter so much, requiring sacrificing time and effort in prioritizing and doing it all, really mattered in the long term. Set your sights on your future goals and work towards them. The present is fleeting at that stage in life. Hardly any of it matters 2 decades on. But the things you do in charting the path towards your goals continue to matter, even if your goals change and evolve. Story 60. At 19, I wish I had known that life is a series of choices and consequences. Focus on building a solid foundation for your future by prioritizing your education and financial health. Choose friends who uplift you and distance yourself from those who drain your energy. Remember, it's okay to fail. Each setback is a stepping stone to growth. And don't rush into big decisions like marriage. Take the time to truly understand yourself first. Life gets better when you invest in yourself. So start saving and learning now, and you'll thank yourself later. Story 61. Working beyond your limits isn't the best thing to do. At 30, you're enduring a roller coaster of health issues that starts with a bit of pain that escalates to weakness, numbing, onset chronic pain until you reach 40 and isolate yourself from the people you love because the pain becomes a series of different ailments that go from arthritis to severe liver damage that you got yourself chugging pills to keep working. Money is not enough because it won't be enough to be healthy and to have enough time to live. Story 62. At 19, nothing really comes to mind. However, we could just roll the clock back 1 year. There are 2 F-ups. I would love to get a do-over knowing what I know now. The big one is actually go and get my dual citizenship. Now, I guess it is too late to get it. The other isn't even worth talking about here. Story 63. That experience and working for longer leads to more money. I got my first job when I was 20. Didn't have another until 24 because I was going to school. School was fun, but if I had just spent that time working in a business, I'd have learned more, done more, and progressed faster in life. School is noble when you know what you want to do, what's out there, and how to get it. Without that knowledge, much of my education was wasted at the time. Now I'm in debt. I won't pay off till I'm 42. Half my life and half my money just gone. I wish I knew that. Story 64. That you would be pushed to survive in the face of unwieldy inevitability. You must trust people and play life's game, which will show you how they want to ignore you, but keep you stupefied, doing things you wouldn't otherwise do. And damn it all if you get upset for others' weird, freaky energies. Listening to everybody as I could, nobody else has it all figured out with everything. So working well with each other means doing more to dismantle whatever is in place that tried to drown you out. Story 65. You're not going to major in music therapy. You are going to a community college that offers none of the 10 prereqs you need to get into the university that is good for music therapy. Remember how you didn't pay attention in AP Computer Science because I'm not going to need this because I'm going to major in jazz? Well, you were wrong then, and you're wrong now. Drop your science and math for non-majors classes now, and you won't have to take 6 credit hours or more every summer on top of 12 credit hour or more fall and spring semesters. Also, you can visit your home county but stay away from the girls there. There's a reason why you left. Story 66. Independence is overrated. Society encourages young generations. It's normal to rebel. Find and do what you love against your parents' good advice. Leave home as soon as turn 18. Get a job and join the workforce to start paying taxes and fund the social security system for the upcoming new retirees. And experience rude awakening how great the privileges you were given living at home. You could have stayed there while working and saving money to prepare for the real cost of independence first, like most smart kids actually do. Friends don't exist in the absence of money. Story 67. One thing I wish I knew when I was 19 is how valuable self-compassion is. At that age, I might have been more focused on achieving goals and meeting expectations, often being too hard on myself when things didn't go as planned. Understanding the importance of being kind to myself and allowing space for mistakes would have made a big difference in how I navigated challenges and growth. Story 68. Wish I knew that university wasn't the only option. I was talked into going by parents and teachers and spent 4 years working at it only to drop out due to severe burnout, with one of those years being a retake of the previous year, also due to burnout. If I could go back, I'd follow a passion such as cooking or caring for animals rather than doing what I felt forced into doing. Story 69. Everyone feels imposter syndrome, at least sometimes, but imposter syndrome does not mean feeling as if you are somehow not real. Most people don't have a nearly imperceptible wall of separation that tells them the person they see in the mirror is somehow not them, despite every natural law in the universe indicating that that reflection must be them. Sure, that feeling was always so very vague, but it was always there. I would want to make them understand that this feeling is very, very important and assure them that there is a real version of them out there. And it was possible to coax them out into the real world, that there was a version of life where it didn't feel like I was playing a part, that I could discard that secondhand life and find my own. Story 70. There are a few things that almost nobody ever regrets doing. Learn to play an instrument, learn a foreign language, spend more time in nature and/or other outdoor activities, get a cat or a dog, when you are able to properly care for it. Also, you are your #1 advocate. Almost no other people care even 1% as much about your success or failures. This means you can take credit for your successes. And conversely, nobody cares about your failures. So don't beat yourself up. There's nobody that's keeping score. Remember that the whole world is working for themselves. They will say no to you, they will block you, they won't notice your efforts. You have to take the wheel and make things happen if you want to actually get the life you want. Don't say no to yourself. The rest of the world is doing that, so why work against yourself? You get one life to live, so live it. Don't waste it. Don't just live out a character's role that someone else laid out for you. That being said, people have lived a lot long before you came along, and a lot of the world is the way it is because it works. If you want a good life, at least pay attention to those rules and roles that people default into. They aren't all stupid and meaningless. They're just pre-made default plans that work for lots of people. And it's totally okay if you chose it. You don't have to fight against an easy, happy life. If you are around too much, it will hurt you in the long run. It pays dividends in the long run to get educated and work hard towards goals. There aren't really reliable shortcuts or secret get-rich-quick schemes. They are all scams. You can't be totally selfish and expect people to be giving or even like you. Invest time in getting to know people and being vulnerable so they can know you as well.